It's officially the end of an era for the Saints. Marshon Lattimore has just been traded. We'll talk about all the details and what this means for the franchise right here on the Straight Up Saints podcast.
You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What is up, Who Dat Nation? Welcome back inside another edition of the Straight Up Saints podcast. I'm your host, Chris Rosvogu. And as always, we're brought to you by Scott Vicknair. Injury lawyers have been injured in any kind of accident, car, truck, 18-wheeler, or hurt offshore. Scott Vicknair handles it all. You give him a call at 504-500-1111 for a free consultation. They'll always fight for the win. So with the trade deadline this Tuesday, there's been so much smoke surrounding Marshon Lattimore's future with the black and gold, and it's finally been reported that he's heading to the nation's capital. He's been traded to the Washington Commanders, who have been on quite a hot streak this year. They're 7-2. Jaden Daniels has completely turned around that franchise. So Lattimore now has a chance to go play for a team that is on track to make the playoffs. Crazy enough, Lattimore will play the Saints later this year. The Commanders are on the Saints schedule, so you can call it a de facto revenge game if you want. But look, I think this is a situation where you never call it a win because the Saints are the team giving up the good player in this. And I think when you give up a player of Marshon Lattimore's talent and production, you really can never say it's a win. That being said, I think this is one of those moves where it had to be done. I think New Orleans, after firing Dennis Allen and seeing the way this season's transpired, I think you have to hit that reset button. And Lattimore, as great as he is, and he will always be a Saints legend in my book, I think moving on from him is the right move. The Saints have talent at cornerback with guys like Alontae Taylor. Hopefully Kool-Aid McKinstry could get on the field and show what he can do and validate that second-round draft status. But the writing's kind of been on the wall for Lattimore. And Lattimore's still a really good player. He can go have success in Washington, can maybe compete for a title there. And for New Orleans, you start to reset and accept the fact that you are rebuilding. And for a lot of people that have been begging the Saints to kind of say, you know what, it's not our time. We got to hit that reset button. Here it is. You fire Dennis Allen on Monday and you trade Marshon Lattimore on Tuesday. I think you're really accepting that. And I think that's a good thing. You know, being able to have self-awareness is so key in the NFL. The Saints haven't had it the last couple of years. They're finally showing it, and that is an encouraging sign. So let's talk about the trade value, what the Saints got back. According to Ian Rappaport, the Saints are getting a third rounder and more for Marshon. In terms of the and more, it hasn't come out yet. My guess it's a later round pick. I think that's pretty much what you expected. To be honest, a couple of days ago, I thought the Saints probably were only going to get like a fourth rounder and maybe some, a fifth and nothing more. I think when teams like the Chiefs, teams like the Ravens, Chargers, and now obviously the Commanders, when you have a lot of suitors, it's going to drive up the price. And I think in this particular situation, it did for New Orleans. What I'm curious to see is which third rounder that is. I believe Washington had a plethora of picks from deals that they've made in the past. So I'm very curious to see that. For the Saints, you need to load up on ammo. And like I said, you don't ever call this a win. You are getting rid of the asset in this particular trade. But you know what? The Saints are so far removed from being a contender and they have so much more work that needs to be done that I understand why you make a trade like this. And you need all the draft assets you can get. The downside is the Saints don't really have other players with value right now. I mean, in this particular situation, this was the guy with full, value to get. And now that I'm recording this because I'm kind of doing this on the fly because the trade just happened, Adam Schefter has the full trade details. The Saints trade Marshon Lattimore and their fifth-round pick to the Commanders for Washington's third-round pick, Washington's fourth, and its sixth-round pick. So honestly, guys, that's a pretty good haul. That's a pretty good haul to get for Marshon at this stage. So, kudos to the Saints to accept it, make this trade. Part of me was a little bit worried that they were going to say, you know what, or the value's not good enough. Let's just hold on to him. This is the right move for the future of this team. It's the right move for Lattimore. And frankly, guys, after seeing these full details, my opinion's changed a little bit. That's a nice haul. Getting a third-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a sixth-round pick, giving up Lattimore in a fifth. I think you do that any day of the week. Saints need as many picks as possible if they're going to kind of expedite this rebuild. They got to fix the O-line up. They got to fix the D-line in a major way. Obviously, you have quarterback concerns. You have concerns at receiver, concerns in the running back room, concerns at tight end, concerns at safety. They got a lot of problems. And cornerback is the one place that even now without Lattimore, I think you can make an argument the Saints still should feel good about where they're at. Alontae Taylor has been an emerging star this season. Kool-Aid McKinstry, granted, hasn't done much yet to warrant a lot of hype, is a second-round pick who they traded up to get. There's a reason they brought him in the building. Rico Payton was excellent in the preseason. He might get his chance now as long as he's healthy to show what he can do. And maybe it'll be limited playing time, but I'm excited for a player like him. So we'll see what happens. And then Paulson Depot's going to be a free agent. I don't know what that injury he had is going to do to his value. Maybe he ends up coming back on a one-year deal for cheap. So Saints cornerbacks won't be the problem. You can use these draft picks to address other positions that the Saints need to get better at. And from Lattimore's perspective, you get to play postseason football this year, bearing a late season collapse for the Commanders. Because like I said, that team has been quite fun to watch, and they've gone from an afterthought to a team that is the 7-2 and arguably competing for the 1 seed in the conference. So I think for everyone, this is exactly what needed to happen. And the Saints can move on from there and really, really start keeping their eyes, A, on the rebuild, and B, start thinking about who's going to be that coach that you're going to bring in to build that next culture of hopefully winning football in New Orleans, because it's been a while since we've really seen it, and us fans would love for this team to go back to those days. So we'll see what happens, guys. But overall, this move had to be made. I will definitely miss watching Marshon Lattimore play on Sundays. I wish him all the best as he goes to DC. I think he's going to be a great fit for them. But I also am happy that the Saints have finally accepted where they're at in the standings in the NFL and where they rank, not just for this season, but future seasons. This move had to be made. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, make sure to subscribe to Boo Crew Media's YouTube channel if you enjoy our content, and stay tuned for more here from the Straight Up Saints podcast, the destination for the Who Dat Nation.